we're going to get all these categories done. When we count to 1, don't wait for a bad introduction. It's not that night, this thing. The first category is open to all version runway. Pause that on floor. Pause that real quick. Open to all version runway. I was thinking the whole time, and we're in 10. Go ahead, Uncle. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and version up. That's version rock. Open to all version bow. Do we have one? Is there one walking? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Yes, let's go, Mama. Are you ready? Let's go. Hey, see you want me to see what hey, hey, see you want me to see what hey, hey, see you want me to see what see what Stay right there, do not move. Judges, can you see everything? Y'all can see everything? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, you stay. Give us Soulja a round of applause.
All right, we're here with the iconic one, June Ebony. June, you know, this guy walked so many categories. You know, why don't you just list all the categories that you walk?
Butch Queen and Drag, runway, Butch Queen Whip and Pumps, runway, team runway, labels, head to toe, foot and eyewear, best dress, Femme Queen runway, and poses. It's more, but.
In other words, all around Butch Queen. So it's great to see you, sir. You know, you come and go.
Yes, Jersey is my hometown where I made my first debut, and it will always be home.
So this is the very first ever Pioneer Ball. Are you excited?
Yes, I'm making my first debut as in the House of Ebony here in where I started out in Jersey. So I'm home to bring some joy.
Okay, so now let's just stick with runway because runway is the category that I really know you most for. So what European runways do you see now that you really feel is doing their thing?
Oh, it's so many of them. Day, Balenciaga, the House of West. I don't know them all by name, but the Mugler's, the Mizzas. I mean, it's a bunch of them. But right now, the one that's really standing out to me is Day Balenciaga.
Yeah, we all know and love Day. So what categories or what are you looking for mostly to seeing tonight at the Pioneer Ball, the first Pioneer Ball held at Newark, New Jersey?
Say that again now.
What are you looking forward to seeing mostly tonight?
The best dress and the face. That's one of my categories I'm looking forward to seeing tonight. The runway the team runway because we haven't had team runway in a minute. So to see two people come out for team runway is going to be very exciting.
So what do you think team runway is? For all those people who have walked team runway, how would you explain team runway?
Well, if people haven't did their research on team runway consists of two people walking together that look good together, that can actually walk together, pose together, and stay on strut together. So it's not too many people that have done that. You had Chris and Tiny La Bella, Rest His Soul, Tiny La Bella, me, myself, and Aura, me and Ladea, Bernie, and I forgot who Bernie walked with, but it has been a few, and I'm glad that Bernie decided to bring that category back tonight to see, because it's not all about costumes anymore. People actually forgetting what runway is all about. Runway is about the walk, not the costume. So when people can just come out in costume and win, to me, I feel just like you're not judging them on the walk, you're judging them on the costume. So to see them come out tonight to actually walk, that's going to be exciting.
You know, it's very interesting that you said that because there was some controversy at the latex ball regarding runway. Were you aware of that?
I saw the tape, and it was all about the look, not the walk.
And it should have been about?
Yes. The person that won, his look was over, his little stunt was over, but I don't think the walk was what it was should have won. So they was mainly looking for the look for Hector, but Hector also had the walk. So if you didn't bring the look and the walk, I don't think so. That's the whole thing that people need to start getting back to, is the walk, not the look. Because people spending money on the look, but you're forgetting about the walk.
And after all, the category is runway.
And basically the All-American is the one that's actually doing the runway than the European, because it's more of the effect for the European, and the All-American is actually coming out here serving you what the runway models are serving you. You can do your stunts, but you got to still do that walk. So if I feel that you're not doing that walk,
it's a chop.
It's definitely a chop.
So what advice would you give for any new coming person in ballroom, regardless to what category it is? What's the best advice you would give them as an icon?
Well, one of my main teachers was Eric Adonis, and what he always taught me for runway is about your attitude. If you don't have attitude, you definitely don't have the walk and the strut. So you got to have attitude and strut. And a lot of these kids got the attitude, but if you got the attitude, you got to also add the walk. So my thing to you, if you got that attitude, don't let no one change you. Just keep adding on and practice it. And if you got the attitude in the walk, you're going a long way, regardless if you win or lose. Because a lot of people shouldn't win.
Okay, well, there you have it from the icon himself. Thank you so very much for the interview, sir, and enjoy your night.
Thank you.
Oh, before you go, will we be seeing you on the runway tonight?
Yes, you will.
Okay.
Open to all faces as follows. Butch Queen versus Fat Queen, female figure. Face, then we're going to do Legends, and then we're going to do Icon. In that order. Following that will be Schoolboy Realness, Transcendent Realness, Female Figure Realness, Pretty Boy Realness. Want me to be? Let's go. Face, you are right now.
And I'm back, and look who I found. A couple of icons. We have Derek Icon and Brian Icon, as in their status, and they, of course, from the house of Ultra Omni. How you guys doing?
We're great. I'm great.
Doing good.
So, this is the very first Pioneer Ball ever. It's going down in history. And the overall founding father, Kevin Ultra Omni, who is your house father, is giving this ball. So how do you feel about that?
I feel excited. I haven't been out much lately in the ballroom cycle, but it's always in my heart. So I'm really excited to come to events like this to celebrate and remember what it was like and how it is, right?
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Derek, you're the co-founder of the house of Ultra Omni.
I was the first official face recruited by Kevin for the House of Omni. So yes, I'm kind of like the, the Duke or the Prince or whatever.
Right.
But yeah.
A lot of history. And Brian, of course, is the icon of face performance. So Brian, tell me, what are you looking forward to seeing tonight?
I want to see something that's probably going to be laid down in ballroom history. You know, the categories were like totally. They were totally there. You know, it was. I just want to see like good history.
So I saw some of the categories. They do kind of sort of look a little bit how they were back in the day. Would you say?
I agree, and that's great, right? Because we need to always cycle back to the past because the past helps us move forward. Mm-hmm. So you move forward, push back a little, move forward. So I think it's great to see those categories.
Excellent. So Brian, what category are you specifically looking forward to seeing tonight?
I think there was a legendary pioneering face category tonight. For
who'd have thought he would want to see face? And so, if I have to ask you guys, I know that you just started coming back out to the scene, but Brian, you specifically, of all of the newer kids out, doesn't matter what category it is, who would you say really gets you going? Who would you say is that next up-and-coming legend that really you see a lot of potential for?
As far as like this new generation now?
Yeah. Let's start with like, let's say face of performance.
Definitely David Milan. Definitely David Milan.
Okay, David Milan.
Question. David Milan, I see greatness in that.
So what about David that you see in it? Does he remind you of the old school or what exactly?
Yeah, he had that facility like of a dancer and some of the like icon legends like, you know, Michael Princess and Michael DUPREE. When I first seen him perform, I've seen that agility and I can see potential that he can do great things, especially when you're battling, you know. So he blew me away when I first seen him. I was like, okay, I see something.
Okay, David, well, you hear an icon for your category giving you props.
He is the one to watch.
Okay, he's the one to watch.
I can't wait to see him.
Well, I don't think he's actually. I believe he lives in London or Amsterdam.
Okay. Oh.
But I'm sure he'll be over in the States. And so, what about you? What category are you looking forward to seeing?
You know, it's been so long, and I loved all of the categories. I looked through the sheet, and they all sound really interesting to me. So, like I said, I haven't been involved since the early 2000s. It's been a long time, right? So, I'm really interested to see how the ballroom scene has evolved, right?
Derek, what do you feel about the overseas scenes? I know you were in Europe recently.
Yeah.
What is that like?
You know, it's kind of crazy. It took me a while to kind of process it. It was all of a sudden, we had this whole other thing going on across the seas. Now, I'm a world traveler. I've always traveled my entire life. So it was exciting, and I couldn't wait to see what they brought to the table. And I got to tell you, I was completely impressed. Like, it's hard to impress me. I'm like the stone face, like, give it. And they gave it. So I'm really excited to see how that cycles the next life and next generation for the houses.
Okay. Yeah. So overseas is really coming around. Are any of you guys judging tonight?
Maybe.
Maybe.
No commitment.
Well, you guys look wonderful. Thank you so very much for letting me interview you guys and enjoy yourself tonight.
Thank you.
This is Derek Omni and Brian Omni, both icons for face.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You are now 10. Pause the beat real quick. We just sat there for a while this thing. Let's just make sure if you're going to walk, come out, on top of the grand entrances or anything. We got like 25 plus categories. I finished all my balls. You're not going to fuck this up with me. Let's go. Pump the beats. Let's go, mamas. Bring it to the front, my love. Nice and swift, nice and swift. Judges, nice and swift. 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 Judges, get in. Get in, get in. Stand. One shot, and we thank you for coming. That's it for the Butch Queen's female figure. Face, you are down. Please don't wait for our grand entrance this thing. We got 35 categories. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, okay. Bring it to the front, all the way to the front, my love. All the way to the front, my love. All the way to the front, my love. Doesn't get deep tissue in 2. It's face, high. Face. One shot, but we take you to another, my love. Grand prize, face. She got chopped. Here we go. Stay right there. You didn't go against everyone else. Legendary. Female figure, male face. It doesn't matter which way we're going to break it down. You are down. 10, 9, 8. Legendary. Doesn't get deep tissue in the skew. Legendary face. Extrava. Get deep tissue in the skew. What a game. It's 10. Stand to the side, legends. Any other legends of face. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. Icon face. Where's my legend? No, we're about to do that now. We're about to do that right now. We're about to do that now. I'll get this trophy. Iconic face. Your 10. Iconic face. Oh, we're going quickly through these categories tonight. Judges, you saw it when you were standing here. It's the 10. 10. Right here. Icon. 10. Anybody else? Anybody else? 10. Stand to the side. Pause that beat. Listen, let me make it clear. This is the Pioneers Ball. All these judges that are up here were chosen for a reason. They know what face looks like. They know what any talent, any category is. If you get shocked, don't try them. Just watch your video and do better.
Justin.
So with that being said,
Security. They echo, they get out. Okay?
Let's go. Bring it to the front. Let's go. Don't pay attention to that mistake. Judges get this tissue with 2 other. 1, 2, 3. Which one? You stay. Give the legend a round of applause. Icon. Let's start on here. Get deep tissue with 2. You want to run it back? Okay, let's go. School board realness, you are activists. Following that trans man scheme of realness. Bring it to the front. Get deep tissue into the front. 1, 2, 1, 3, 2. You stay. Give the icon right over on the round of applause. Prince Prodigy, give a round of applause. Grand prize. Go to Joseph for your coin.
All right, finally tracked him down. This is the man of the night, the pioneer, the lifetime achiever, the overall founding father of the House of Ultra Omni, Kevin Ultra Omni. Welcome, sir.
Everybody, welcome. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So, this is the very first ever Pioneer Ball of all the time. How do you feel about being the first to host this ball?
Well, I feel that I've been the first at many things, and it was befitting that I do so. I just spoke to a few people earlier, and I was telling them that, we have a lot of pioneers that we, do tributes to who are no longer here, like Pepper, Dorian, Paris. But what I want people to understand is don't forget about us historians that are still here and still alive.
Absolutely.
We got Erskine, Michael Princess, me, Terry. You got people that can tell the story, and it's like sometimes people wait until you are no longer here. And then you become famous. I don't want to be the one to die and then become famous. I want people to give me my flowers while I can smell them.
Absolutely.
I've been saying it forever. It being the first Pioneer Ball, this is a celebration for the overall white era of ballroom, which started the house structured scene, which is 1972 to 1985, which is also the first house of. So balls as of 2019 are only 47 years old of house structured ballroom. Now, if you want to talk about overall ballrooms that go back to the 17th century with France, the ballrooms in France and Rome, that was in the 17th century where the years were like 1665, 1685. So that's over almost 400 years of ballroom. So it's either 400 years of overall ballroom or it's 47 years of house structured ballrooms. And what I would like for people out there to know, that I hope they learn something throughout the night, and they'll ask questions and they'll do their research, and just don't take people on face value. You got to dig a little deeper. Again, there are people here, that are going to learn something tonight. I'm glad to be able to teach them something from my point of view, from my experiences, and I hope I can educate people, because a lot of the children get information misconstrued. They're out of chronological order. Everybody's been there, but nobody saw you, And,
so I'm sorry. So I wanna take you back a little bit to the 80s. Can you please just talk about a little what the pioneers, what they had to endure in order for us to be experiencing the ballroom scene and just gay life overall the way we can do it now? What were the sacrifices that you guys made?
Well, some of the sacrifices were, uptown Harlem, the Bronx, was always worse than Brooklyn. It's like they didn't want the Brooklyn kids to bring it. So when the House of Ebony, Chanel, and Omni got started, we had to battle. We had to bring it to them because they were more, maybe because it was the Harlem Renaissance in the 20s, the 40s, then the drag balls of the 50s and 60s were basically in Harlem and the Bronx, uptown. So when us Brooklyn kids came out, we were a lot bangy. We were bangy, and we came through, and I guess maybe when it came to fashion, they got misconceptions of what bangy and fashion could be. Like, we couldn't be, but then again, every time I wore red leather, turquoise blue leather, I had leather in every color, and I walked through the streets of Brooklyn in the 80s with my pencil waves and Gazelle glasses and beige sheepskin coat and Fiorucci leather and all that. They were like, oh, you from uptown? No, I'm from Bed-Stuy, do or die, Brooklyn. Larry, Ebony, both of us founders are from Bed-Stuy, do or die. And we live right around the corner from each other. R.R. Chanel, also a Brooklynite. We had houses in Brooklyn, the House of Mahogany, the House of Plenty. We had a lot of houses that we fought our way through the ballroom scene. And when we came on, we had to fight against that animosity. I had to fight because I worked in Wall Street. And I bought it real, meaning when I worked executive, I had a job that I would bring my company phone book with my name highlighted. I used to bring my own credit cards. I used to bring my own TRW credit report.
That's actually a category tonight.
Well, baby, back then, me and William DUPREE started that category, executive, and we battled at like 5-6 balls in a row for years. One of the sacrifices of making that category, we had to put some oomph into it. So everybody always wanted to see me and William battle, may he rest in peace, a great opponent. But when I came, I bought it. I bought it real.
Kevin, please speak some of the pioneers who've gone before you. Speak some of their name right now.
Well, some of them are alive. Sharonda Dior, Kim Dior is no longer here. Jay Dior, supposedly, I'm not sure. The House of Dior, Sharonda Robin. Then you had the House of Wong, you had Duchess, you had Nicole. The House of La Bella, you had Stanley, Steven, you had Pepper, you had, for the pioneers, you had the Ebony's, founder Richard, Larry, you had Abby, you had, there's so many.
So there's so many and they're gone. And what does the ballroom scene mean to you today versus back then to now? What are some of the differences and what you wish it could be back to again?
Well, one of the major differences is I basically have traveled. You know, I started going to Philadelphia and supporting their scene. I was at the first ball in Washington, D.C. I won Face my first time going to compete in Chicago. I won Face my first time going to compete in L.A. I was also in the West Coast Hall of Fame, the first, along with J.J. Rodeo. I traveled, and I didn't have to go and say I was an icon. I didn't have to say I was a legend. All I had to do was come and hit the floor, and they knew it was Kevin. I didn't even have to say Kevin Omni. Back then, when Avis hit the floor, it was Avis. It was Paris. It was Pepper. Our names preceded us. We didn't have to say we were in the house of this and that. Everybody knew. I got off a plane in California, they knew who I was. The kids of today, local legends, local icons, nobody knows who these people are, and then they want to be icons and what have you in their own prospective cities. That's not true. I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. I traveled, competed, and won. And I visited many cities. You know, Detroit. I gave balls in Detroit. I gave balls in Philadelphia. I gave balls in California, St. Louis, balls in Paris, balls in Amsterdam, worldwide. So I feel good now that I'm an international celebrity, and I feel good because I celebrated 40 years of the House of Omni, and that means a lot.
Yes, congratulations on your 40th year anniversary. Talk a little bit about the ball. The ball was indeed in Europe. It was in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. What was that experience like for you?
Well, first of all, it was emotional. They gave me an award. They did a video for our Grand March that I didn't know exactly what they were going to put in the video, and I saw my years and my journey. And I saw a lot of my original members that are no longer here. So it was like a bittersweet and bitter sad. And it was just phenomenal. What I liked about the balls is that they reminded me of the balls when I first started going. Like, everybody clapped for you. You didn't have to be in the house of this or the house of that. If you hit the floor and you were serving it, everybody clapped. And that's what they do in Europe. It doesn't matter what house you're in. If you're turning it, everybody's giving you energy. They're pushing you, they're clapping you on. And then it's not all this politics about who's sitting on the panel only judging people in their house and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, the bottom line is, the balls of today, I look at Europe as being the future. I hope that the United States could wake up and try to have fun, but in the United States, everything is segregated. You got Kiki balls, a scene in DC, a scene in Alabama. You got Kiki balls in New York. So you have all these different scenes going on. You got, they just came up with some other scene. I forgot what the name of that was, dealing with girls or something. You know,
There's a lot going on. So, last question. What are you looking forward to seeing tonight at the first ever Pioneer Ball? What are you looking forward to seeing the most?
Well, first of all, I've already seen exactly what I wanted, my family. I got Derek Omni, Brian Omni. These are my originals that's been in my house for 38 years. Some people don't have friends for 38 minutes. Or some people can't even be nice for 38 seconds. But I got Michael Omni, Derek Omni, and Brian Omni here for 38 years. And the House of Omni is 40 years old. I got my son from the West Coast. I see Larry, someone I grew up with. I see Star and Joseph Ebony, someone who I came to admire, and I met him in 1993. I just want to see people have fun. I really just want them to enjoy themselves. It's not about anything political. It's not about who's better than who or any of that. This is a celebration for us who are still alive. And you know something, when I look out, I would hope to see younger kids that will want to come out and meet who the pioneers are. Because many pioneers are just not as supportive. And you know, the sad part is Joseph gave this ball to honor us, and you have so much controversy because this one didn't feel this way, that one didn't feel that way. But the bottom line is, it's an honor for us. Like Avis, not paying her rent for 3 months to be able to pay for a venue. Those sacrifices, or not knowing if your ball was going to be successful, but you did it anyway because of the love in your heart for ballroom. You know, so we went through a lot. And all I can say is I hope everybody enjoyed themselves.
And all I can say is thank you so much for all your sacrifices, all of the history that you provided, and enjoy yourself tonight. Thank you so very much for giving this ball, and I'm going to have a blast.
Okay.
Pioneer Kevin Ultra Omni.